Good morning and welcome. I just noticed they have bling downstairs, so when you walk out you can buy a t-shirt as well. Not for this particular event, but and a big stuffed animal as well. Don't know where that came from. But welcome, my name is Randy McIntosh. I am that person. Before we get into the formal part of the ceremony, I just want to make sure we provide a land acknowledgement. On behalf of SFU, I want to respectfully acknowledge the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Katsi, Kwikwilem, Kwatwait, Kwetqualit, Semenaho, and Swasan people on whose unceded traditional territories our three campuses reside. One of the things that I think is important when one does a land acknowledgement is also put some a personal connection or personal context, or a context for why it's important for us to acknowledge that. And I think one of the things that comes to mind for me is the fact that we collectively are creators of knowledge, but the spirit of the people who came before was to share that knowledge. And it was very important that that knowledge be shared openly. So knowledge is only useful insofar as it can be shared. And that's really what we're here to celebrate today, is that we're launching this open science, open scholarship initiative so that what we create knowledge-wise can be shared with everybody. And that's the goal for our initiative and the goal for the initiative we'll talk about a bit more today. I want to start with our first speaker, who's back there, Valorie Crooks. Valerie's representing the Vice President of Research and Innovation Office. She's the Associate VPRI. She focuses a lot on implementing the strat plan for SFU and define priority areas of research strengths and focus, and enhance the impact of the key initiatives at SFU. And the VPRI office has been essential for supporting this open science initiative, open scholarship initiative. And without their support, this wouldn't have happened. So I'm very happy that Valorie could make it and speak on behalf of the VPR office. And that's Valorie there.
Thanks, Randy, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Open Science launch event. As I was driving to campus this morning, I often kind of think about my schedule, my plan for the day, what is it that I have going on, and I was thinking about this event and how actually I haven't been involved in the many activities that have ultimately led to this initiative rolling forward. Some of them predate my time in the AVPR role, and other activities have been led by other people. And so it was kind of making me think a little bit more about my own reflection on open science and my engagement. And I was reminded of a certain time during the pandemic. Many of us will recall a certain COVID-19 pandemic not that long ago, when there was an incredible thirst for knowledge and information just couldn't get out to the public fast enough. And I'd been working on a project that was funded by a funding agency here in British Columbia. And it was very sort of public-facing in terms of what was produced. It was interactive maps. And I realized that the timeline to go through sort of standard scholarly publication to get this into the hands of the public would result in this information being accessible to people much later than ultimately it would benefit public decision makers. So instead, I decided to go outside of my comfort zone, not knowing exactly what I was doing, put out a press release. It went out on December 24th, and then I spent my entire holiday period in media interviews, including on December 24th, being on the 6 p.m. news, launching this science that I had just been undertaking prior to any formal peer review, and thinking, what am I doing here? And many weeks later, our former dean of library, Gwen Bird, reached out to me and said, oh, I've had a request for people to be profiled in this open science newsletter, and I think you should be profiled in relation to this project. And I thought, that's what I was doing. I was open sciencing, and I didn't even realize it. So I was able to sort of contribute a great piece to the Spark newsletter about that work. And that was my foray into thinking about and starting to understand open science, not just in relation to making data sets more accessible, but also making our findings more accessible and information coming out of the scholarly community more accessible, not just in ways that are understandable to others, but also that are timely in relation to public policy making and decision making. And based on my own experience of doing that, I think that it's wonderful for the institution to step up to endorse the principles of open science, open scholarship, and to think about ways that institutionally we can support people who are taking especially their foray into open science, as I did on December 24th, 2001 on the provincial news. I think that one of the things that we'll see is that these principles will really ensure that the kind of research activities and undertakings that are happening here at SFU will have real-world impact and also our ability to demonstrate what those impacts are. I think as well that this opportunity helps us to support our ongoing institutional commitment to community engagement. Oftentimes in the research spectrum, we think about what that means in relation to generating the questions that drive research or generating who participates in research and who's included and who's not. But this kind of initiative helps us to sort of fill that spectrum in, but thinking about how research is actually shared, mobilized, who it goes to, and then also who can access it in perpetuity, including the data that helps to support those decisions. And then also I think that this kind of initiative helps us to think about what mobilization means in new and interesting and innovative ways. Because again, we often think about mobilizing in relation to findings, but we can also think about mobilizing in relation to sharing data, sharing information, and sharing the ideas that kind of generate the work that we do. And so, of course, I want to acknowledge that we can only do this with the support of multiple partners, and so it's wonderful to be able to be in a position like we are right now to see this launch and to have partners here at the table with us. I think this is only going to enhance SFU's visibility in the research landscape, not only nationally, but also internationally, sharing information, making things accessible, and ensuring the understandability of our findings, of our data, of our questions, and of our answers only helps us to engage with the public and only helps us to become known as an institution that's involved in ethical, responsible, and engaged kinds of research. So I look forward to being here for the rest of today's launch, and thank you very much, Randy and others, for inviting me to participate.
Wonderful. Thank you, Valorie. Our next presenter is the sort of the core driver, if you will, of the initiative that led SFU to where it is now with this open science. Guy Rouleau is the co-founder of the Tanenbaum Open Science Initiative, which is a national initiative. He's also the director of the Neuro, which is in McGill University, if you don't know. He has been driving the adoption of open science across Canada, and he's very passionate about it. I've always been impressed with how he conveys that passion and how he conveys it tangibly as well, so both from the ideas but also how they get implemented. And that's one thing I've really been impressed with, how he's been able to carry this forward, so congratulations on that part. He also brought some colleagues. Annabelle Sayer is back there. Gabrielle, he's right there. So representing Guy and protecting him if people get too close as well. So with that, Guy, please, the podium is yours.
Thank you very much. I never really thought of Gabriel and Annabelle as my bodyguards, but that's okay. And plus, you know, I don't know how you did this, but we were thinking of changing the name of TOSI from Institute to Initiative, and you seem to have already figured that out and called it the Initiative. So, bravo, a little prescient. So, good morning, everyone. Is it still morning? Yeah, good morning, everyone. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today for this very special occasion, the official launch of the Simon Fraser University's Open Science and Open Scholarship Framework. So congratulations to the entire SFU community for this achievement. So I think this is not just an exciting day for SFU, it's a landmark moment for research and higher education in Canada, and I think maybe globally. With today's launch, SFU becomes the very first university in Canada to adopt a comprehensive open science and open scholarship framework across the entire institution. Now that is something, actually, knowing that I've been trying to get McGill to do the same thing for 9 years, so I can definitely appreciate the hurdles and the need for having a lot of collaboration and a lot of people on board. So this is a major step. Moving open science has moved from individual labs to individual projects to institutions and now to an entire university's research culture. I think this is a remarkable evolution, and I think it bodes well for the future of open science in general. I also want to acknowledge SFU's leadership, including Dr. Valorie Crooks, for stepping up and making it clear and a long-term commitment to openness. Making it a core institutional principle isn't an easy decision or process. It takes vision, coordination, and a willingness to do things differently. That kind of leadership is what makes long-term change possible and what makes today's event more than just a milestone, but I think a turning point. At the Tanenbaum Open Science Institute, soon to be initiative, TOSI for short, we've been working to build exactly this kind of future since we were founded in 2016. Recognizing both the potential and the urgency for a more open approach to science, TOSI was established thanks to a visionary donation from the Larry and Judy Tanenbaum Family Foundation. You know, when we met with Larry Tanenbaum, you know, he said that most lay people think that science is open. And in fact, some science is open, but a lot of science is not open. And when he heard this, he said, this is a great idea. I have to support this. So he did. And our goal was basically straightforward but ambitious, to make open science a standard for how research is conducted, shared, and applied. First in neuroscience, because that was the major, well, we're a neuroscience institute, if you wish, so it made sense. And the Tanenbaum Family Foundation really supports mostly neuroscience, also sports. So TOSI was created to concretize and expand these efforts, beginning within the walls of the neuro. So part of what we were supposed to do was, I mean, you can say we're now open, but it takes a lot of work to become open, and you have to be open, and you have to build the tools to be open, you have to work on the culture of the institution. So we've since formalized partnerships with many Canadian institutions. And this is an example of kind of the timeline. And so starting with neuroscience, but we always had in mind the bigger picture of all of science, certainly all of neuroscience and all of medicine and all of science. And we're proud to say that with the addition of SFU, 9 institutions across Canada have committed to open science with TOSI. And now we're working as a network to leverage each other's expertise and experiences to accelerate the update of open science practices. And I encourage you all to stay tuned. We're planning a public event of our network in the fall, which will be in Calgary. What's important to stress is that open science isn't a one-size-fits-all model. It has to work in the real world. That's why each partner institution in our network develops its own framework, guided by shared principles but tailored to its research culture, community, and disciplinary mix. One of the first ones really to look at things very differently is the Douglas, which is a psychiatric institute. And of course, the whole notion of open in psychiatry, I mean, it's important, but there are vulnerable populations, there's a lot of stigma. So it's a field that required some thinking to be able to tailor the open science so it fit the needs of that community. The case of SFU is special for TOSI. What had started as the building of a partnership with another neuroscience institute, SFU's Institute of Neuroscience and Neurotechnology soon engaged the entire university under the leadership of Dr. Randy McIntosh, who introduced me. I know by experience that succeeding in convincing an institute like the Neuro to adopt this shift in research culture is not an easy task. Being able to get an entire university on board, like Randy and his team have done, is truly remarkable. It hasn't gone unnoticed. This approach is already resonating beyond SFU, and we know more institutions are following the same path, and more announcements of this nature are expected in the near future. But you guys are first. Congratulations for that. So the framework announced today reflects SFU's values, its commitment to responsible data practices, researcher autonomy, and meaningful community engagement. It's a practical model that works for SFU and stands as a strong example of how open science and open scholarship can be done thoughtfully and at scale. One thing that stands out is SFU's attention to community engagement, especially Indigenous communities. By recognizing the importance of data ownership and stewardship, SFU is addressing key questions on how to do open science and open scholarship in an ethical and inclusive way. I think this matters. And while this is a major step, it's also a part of a longer journey. SFU has been supporting open access and open infrastructure for years. Today marks a shift from individual initiatives to a full institutional-wide commitment. And as I was saying last night, when you think about open science, at least in our field, there are three players. There are the researchers, there are the funders, and there are the institutions. And certainly the researchers, the vast majority, are very much believers in open science. The funders are more and more funding and encouraging open science, maybe with the exception of the United States currently. But in general, yes, the funders are for open science. The last frontier, the ones who resist the most, are the institutions. And that's why I think this is very remarkable, because this is an institution, a complex institution that has many, many different departments and faculties. And so I think it is very, very meaningful. So before I close, I want to acknowledge Dr. Kelly Shen, Director of Operations at the INN, and key lead on this project. Kelly has played a crucial role in laying the groundwork and pushing the work forward with clarity and persistence. I would also I also want to take a moment to thank the co-founders of TOSI, Larry Tanenbaum, as I mentioned earlier, and Heather Monroe Bloom, a former president of McGill University, for their unwavering support. So, you know, Mr. Tanenbaum didn't only give money. I mean, he has been involved on a weekly and monthly basis since 2016. And so a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of connections. So I think it's a testament to his engagement for this whole idea of open science. So although they were unable to join us today, they share in my excitement in this new milestone. So we're excited to see how this framework grows and how it supports the next generation of researchers and trainees, not only at SFU, but across the country. As I said earlier, you know, this is a culture change, so adopting open science is a change of culture. Changes of culture occur very slowly, and one of my favorite sayings is science moves forward one funeral at a time. So I think open science is going to move forward one funeral at a time as well, which is maybe a little morbid, but I think it reflects the realities. And we look forward to seeing others follow your lead. So thank you, and congratulations again for this very important achievement. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Guy. I'm going to move on now. As Guy mentioned, the effort to pull together the open science, open scholarship framework for SFU really spanned different faculties, different initiatives, and it was really truly a university-wide initiative. And I wanted to give people an opportunity who did contribute to that to talk about their perspective on open science. Kate Shuttleworth represents the Public Knowledge Project. She's the Community Education Manager. She coordinates education opportunities and resources to enhance the scholarly publishing effort at SFU. And a lot of people at SFU don't know about the Public Knowledge Project, but it's probably one of the first, if not the first, open science initiative in North America. It's fantastic. It started roughly 1998, and it was between UBC and SFU. And it's continued. Its mandate is to try and get that information out to the public. So it's a fantastic initiative. And I'm delighted they were part of this effort. So please, Kate.
So thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure to get to share a little bit about the Public Knowledge Project and the work that we're doing at SFU and globally to support open scholarship. So a little bit about PKP. PKP is a core facility of SFU, and we have two primary functions. The first is to conduct research around scholarly communications and open scholarship, and the second is to develop free and open source software for scholarly publishing. Our software helps to open up access to research around the world, and it contributes to diverse, inclusive, and accessible scholarly publishing models. So a little bit about PKP's history. As we just heard, PKP began as a research project in 1998, led by Dr. John Walensky, and the initial goal was to improve public access to scholarly publications. Our flagship open source software, Open Journal Systems, launched in 2002. We've been developing and enhancing our software ever since in consultation with our global community of users. And we've added 2 additional platforms, one for open monographs and another for open preprints. PKP joined SFU Library in 2005 and became a core facility of SFU in 2022. PKP is best known for the development of OJS, or Open Journal Systems, and it's the world's most widely used journal management and publishing system. You may even have encountered OJS before as researchers, academics, and even as students. It's likely that you've come into contact with a journal that uses open journal systems, perhaps as an author submitting to an open journal, as a peer reviewer, or as a reader accessing published research. There's a few ways that you can identify journals that are using OJS. Most are quite recognizable once you have a feel for the general appearance of the site, like the one pictured here. Articles also have a particular URL sequence, sort of article/view/xxx. And you can also check the meta tags or look for a website footer that indicates the platform and workflow is by OJS or PKP. Here I have a couple of examples of some journals that are using OJS and are published by editors at SFU. So these journals are supported and hosted by our digital publishing services in the library, and we'll hear a bit more about open scholarship services from the library from my colleague Ali, who'll speak in a few moments. So here's another journal supported by SFU, published by an SFU editor in OJS. OJS is used around the world, and we'll see a map of the distribution of journals in just a moment. In some regions, OJS is used to publish collections of journals within a geographic location that combine their metadata and sometimes their content in a single interface. Sweden and Finland are 2 examples that use OJS to run their national platform. PKP partners with Erudit to make up Coalition Publica. This is a partnership of 2 open infrastructure projects for scholarly publishing and dissemination of research in Canada. Coalition Publica is a major science initiative funded by the Canadian Federation for Innovation, and it supports the dissemination of research in the social sciences and humanities in Canada. In addition to being central to scholarly publishing infrastructure in Canada, PKP supports journal publishing around the world. And in fact, PKP's original goal was for OJS to be used by scholars around the world, enabling them to publish and access research on their local research interests and in local languages. The map on the screen represents the worldwide usage of OJS. As of 2024, which is the latest data that we have, OJS was being used by 55,000 actively publishing journals. So that's journals that have published more than 5 articles in a calendar year. And that's across 150 countries and in 60 languages. Over the past 5 years, we estimate that the software has been used to publish nearly 9 million articles. At PKP, we're proud of our worldwide usage because a commitment to making research a global public good includes bibliodiversity. This includes research that's generated in the Global South and on subject matter pertinent to the Global South. In addition to supporting research by enabling millions of articles to be published every year around the world, PKP also conducts our own research by using data about what and who is publishing to better describe how research is communicated. PKP's scientific director, Dr. Juan Pablo Alperin, is also co-director of the ScholarComm Lab at SFU, which conducts research on scholarly publishing. And finally, PKP participates in advocacy towards our vision of a world where access and contribution to knowledge is open to the benefit of all. We advocate for policies and funding models that support this vision. We offer training and resources to support our community and invite our community to contribute to our work to help build an open access future. I'll just share a few initiatives and collaborations that PKP is currently part of. In 2024, PKP won a bid to develop an end-to-end publishing platform for Open Research Europe, so that platform will be built using OJS. We're also a partner on the Almasi project that launched earlier this year. This is a 3-year project funded by the European Union's Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Program, and it seeks to enhance and sustain open publishing in Africa, Europe, and Latin America. PKP will contribute to education and training for nonprofit scholarly publishing through this project. And finally, as an open source project, we rely on the users of our software to help us grow and maintain it and to enhance the work we do. Our users contribute through financial contributions or by contributing code, translations, and documentation, and we couldn't do what we do without them. Thank you very much, and happy to answer questions or speak to anyone at the lunch.
Thank you, Kate. This is a good floor for dancing, actually. So, no, I'm not going to dance, though, I promise. One of our key partners for the Open Science, Open Scholarship Framework was the library at SFU. And libraries have been essential, obviously, for holding and disseminating knowledge in different formats. The library here is fantastic in terms of providing support, everything from collecting knowledge, but also helping to manage that knowledge, whether it be for research or dissemination. It really is unique in that context and really been a fantastic partner for us. The new dean for the library, Gora, is here today, so we get a chance to talk with her as well. But Alison is also going to be coming up to talk about her work focusing on facilitating communication and knowledge mobilization. She's the digital scholarship librarian. And again, I want to emphasize how important the library was as a partner for this initiative. So please, Alison.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm Allie Moore. I'm a digital scholarship librarian in the Research Commons at SFU Library. And while you're just seeing me up here, I'm going to be sharing about all the work that SFU Library is doing around open scholarship. So I'm really representing a team of people, many of whom are actually at that back table back there, who are all contributing to this work in different ways. All right. So just like Kate, I wanted to start off by offering sort of a history of the way that SFU Library has been engaged with open scholarship. So we have a more than 30-year history of advancing open scholarship on the local, national, and international stage. The library is a really active member of regional and national consortia that are working on open scholarship initiatives. So these are things like the Canadian Association of Research Libraries and the Canadian Knowledge Network. Another way that we do this is by engaging in open source technology projects. So as you've heard from Kate, the Public Knowledge Project was located at SFU Library for a long time before they became a core facility at SFU. But even going back into the mid-90s, SFU was recognized as an expert in the creation of Researcher, which was an open source tool for the distribution of electronic resources for libraries. And this is something that was used very widely in North America, and those 6 tools were used for more than 20 years before being decommissioned. Beyond library technology, SFU has also been a longtime leader on campus for education, awareness, and training, and support for open access publishing. So SFU Library was among the first libraries in Canada to have an open access fund in 2010. And in 2016, our former Dean of Libraries, Gwen Bird, led a committee to develop an open access policy for all of SFU. SFU remains one of the few institutions in Canada with a full open access policy, and the SFU Open Access Policy calls on all researchers to deposit research that is conducted at SFU in our institutional repository summit. So, as a digital scholarship librarian, one of the main ways that I support and advocate for open scholarship here at SFU is through my work in providing education and training in scholarly publishing. My colleagues and I have expertise on a wide range of topics, including supporting choosing an open journal in which to publish your research, infrastructure, as you've heard, for hosting a new student or faculty-run journal, complying with your research funders' mandates for open access, and providing advice on copyright, licensing, and how to retain your rights as an author. So if, for example, you've ever wondered about what the benefits or risks are of signing a copyright transfer agreement, or you're trying to unpack how much it might cost to publish in a particular journal, or you're wondering about maybe taking on some editorial work of your own, those are all things that we have resources and templates to support you with. We have recommendations for how to handle those tough conversations with publishers or other entities, and we really want to work to support you to find the information that you need to inform your scholarly practice. One of the main pieces of infrastructure that we support here at SFU is Summit, which I mentioned earlier. And this is the home of all of SFU's research. So it holds all of our open access theses and dissertations, but also so much more. So if you're looking for a long-term home for your open access research outputs, you can consider depositing them in Summit, which will, in one step, allow you to fulfill the SFU open access policy as well as the tri-agency open access policy. As you can see with all of the things on this slide, Summit actually is a home for a lot of different types of research output, so not just kind of traditional publications. And on the topic of kind of moving beyond traditional publication, the Digital Humanities Innovation Lab, or DHIL, is located at SFU Library. The DHIL partners with SFU researchers on the development of digital projects by providing consultations, training, mentoring, research software development, and technical support. The DHIL fosters collaboration and interdisciplinarity within and beyond the humanities and is deeply engaged in questions about digital preservation, scalable infrastructure in libraries, and digital project sustainability. Of the more than 45 projects that the DHIL has collaborated on, some recent examples include bibliographic visualizations for decolonizing STEM, a multimedia map for Indigenous gardens, and a place-based platform and environment for Asian Canadian poetry. The library also has considerable expertise in research data management. So the library's data services team is available to help support open science and open scholarship from data discovery through to data publication. The team can help create or review data management plans for a research project or a lab, provide guidance on the collection and management of data, including guidance on data storage, organization, documentation, data sharing and publication, licensing, data citation, and the preservation of research data. Data management planning can improve project efficiencies, keep your data secure, and protect against data loss. It helps ensure that your data outputs adhere to open science principles such as FAIR, while balancing complementary principles such as CARE and OCAP, and potential sensitivities, and helps ensure that your data remains accessible to those who need access for as long as necessary. The data services team really recommends creating a data management plan, whether it's required by your funder or not, and they're available to consult with faculty, staff, and students in any discipline. Open education is another area that often comes up when we're talking about open science. You may have heard about this. This is another area in which SFU Library is really leading. So in 2022, SFU Senate endorsed a statement in support of open educational resources and open education developed by the library in support with the Senate Library Committee on University Teaching and Learning, aka SCOOTLE. As a result, there was an Open Access Advisory Committee reporting to SCOOTLE that was established to provide strategic direction, high-level coordination for open education initiatives on campus. Last year, an SFU Open Education Community of Practice was launched with support from the library and for the Center of Educational Excellence to provide an inclusive, collaborative space for instructors, staff, and students to explore and learn about using open educational resources and open educational practices. This spring, my colleague Hope Power, with the support of the Open Education Advisory Committee, successfully applied for and won a 2025 BC Campus Open Educational Institution Grant, which is going to provide $33,000 in funding to SFU over the next year. This project will develop a centralized point of contact and online support hub for open education initiatives at SFU, review and improve systems for tracking OER adoptions across campus, conduct an open education survey with students, and establish an Excellence in Open Education Award at SFU. In addition, this project will foster cross-departmental collaborations that will strengthen the university's capacity to support and advance open education going forwards. All right, so as I kind of draw this to a close, I wanted to conclude by highlighting one of the ways that the SFU Library is intervening in the open scholarship environment. So we think of open scholarship as removing barriers to scholarly research, democratizing access to knowledge, but we also recognize that for many members of our community, they're still hitting a paywall, unfortunately, when they're trying to access high-quality information to support their research. So in 2017, the library developed the Community Scholars Program, which is really targeting that particular problem. So the Community Scholars Program is designed to support researchers and practitioners and nonprofit organizations across the province with their research and information needs. Led by librarian Heather DeForest, the program works with academic publishers to provide access to scholarly publications that would otherwise be paywalled, enabling employees and nonprofits to review case studies, access current research, and make evidence-informed decisions about their programs and services. The program has a number of partner institutions across BC, and we're pleased to announce that it's recently expanded to Ontario as well. So, in summary, I just really wanted to emphasize that there's so many different ways that the library is supporting open scholarship and so many different ways to get in touch with us. I know that was a long list of different things that we're doing, but if anything is of interest, please feel free to reach out to us. You can contact us at that digital scholarship link. You can email any number of us. We're really here to support you and want to partner with you on your research. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ellie. So I want to pass the baton to my colleague, Kelly Shen. You heard from Guy that Kelly was really the mover on this project, and we can talk about what has to be done, but someone else has to do it, and that's really where Kelly pulled things together and got this to the point where it was successful and brought it to where it is today. That's why we have food and everything else as well. So with that, I'll let Kelly close the ceremony, please.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, everyone, for coming and connecting with us. And I really want to take a moment to reflect on this, I think, last 2 years now that we've been running this project, and really think about how the values of open science and open scholarship on openness, on collaboration, and really trying to increase accessibility, the ways in which that actually happened, not in just all the open activities you've been hearing about today, but the actual coming together of this project itself. We had to break all those silos that we have across departments, across faculties, and we heard from so many of you contributed to this project, either as advisors on our working group, champions of open science, open scholarship. I really want to thank especially the drafting committee who sat with me for many, many hours over Zoom to really draft those guiding principles, to revise them based on all the feedback we were getting from our community. And you know, we we couldn't get to this point today and celebrate today without those collaborations, and I'm also really excited that this collaborative spirit and nature will probably drive the implementation phase, which is what we're going to be tackling next. And now that we have this initiative, we got to actually do the work, right? So what we'll be doing is pulling together an implementation committee in the coming months. Please come speak to me if you'd like to participate. If you have any questions about the initiative, please connect with me. And I want to make sure I thank the team here today who made this event happen. Where are you? Ethan, Kathleen, Caton, and Stephanie, thank you very much. You know, we can't enjoy all this food and this wonderful space without you all pulling it together. One last thing is that you'll see the QR codes on the various tables. Those will link to mailing list subscriptions for those of you who would like to keep up to date with us and stay connected. That's one way to do it. And you can also reach us at opensci@sfu.ca. Various ways. So I think lunch is set out. Please help yourselves, connect with each other, come chat with me. I'd love to meet all of you if I haven't already met you, and hang out and enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you.